Hello, today we're joined by Oyvind from poLight, which he is the CEO of. And today we'd like to explore the world of light and the management of light in today's high-tech systems. So if we start at the beginning, Oyvind, tell us about, in the environment of high-tech systems, how light comes in and out of a system and then how you help manage that light, or the overall context of how people manage light and how you're then different.
Yeah, that was a big ask, Guy. I would like to kind of, actually when poLight started, it was, or the beginning of poLight, I should say, it was about manipulating light, but for completely different reasons than we do today. It was actually a gel, a transparent gel, which was actually invented in Russia, which was kind of important as imported to Norway as a technology with some people. And they were focusing on fiber infrastructure. And how to kind of manipulate light, and how that could kind of transfer signals and meanings into a fiber.
Yeah.
That was the beginning. And then I would like to continue from there and saying that this is not poLight today. It could become a poLight version 2. But this, I remember we're being told that this polymer, this gel, which is kind of can manipulate, steer this light, used in optical systems, infrastructure, fiber infrastructure in that case. They wanted to kind of stabilize, improve that polymer, which is kind of steering the light. And they started a project with a research institute in Norway to improve this polymer. And just to show the kind of the variety of application which this polymer can represent, during that study, there were some researchers decided that, you know, this polymer, this gel, must be a fantastic component to replicate the function of the human eye.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of poLight. So since then, from having a completely different starting point and reasons to do it, it has kind of evolved into a tunable optic lens, which basically do what the human eye does.
Yes.
Meaning changing focus.
So the beginning of that was deep science, was deep research. Mm-hmm. And through that, then, there was that natural development of trying to understand and replicate how the human eye works. Mm. So let's just take that whole human eye concept and let's talk about the benefits of how you then replicate that into systems. Mm. So the benefit of how your company's products, so let's just go into your company's products a little bit later in a minute. Mm. But first of all, let's just look at the benefits of replicating the human eye, and then how the benefits of that are in the system versus other solutions which may be more mechanical or a different approach.
Yeah. So good question, and I will try to explain that. First of all, let me start by trying to explain the focus mechanism of the human eye. So the human eye has a lens. That lens is being shaped, squeezed by a few eye muscles. So when you are sitting reading a book and you want to talk to your wife, which is in the kitchen making you some lunch, of course.
Or she sat reading a book and you're making the lunch.
That's my generation. Your generation, opposite. So anyway, then without you kind of, in a way, understanding or feeling anything is changing, you're changing from reading the book and you see the character in the book very clear. You look at your beautiful wife and you see here clear, without you feeling that nothing is happening inside your brain or in your eye. What is actually happening is that while you're reading your book, is the optical power, the space, the shape of the lens is being shaped differently, as opposed when you're looking at your wife. So this is, but you don't feel it. You see, everything is very smooth, it's very fast. When you move your head, it's instantly you see your wife in focus, and when you move your head back to the book, instantly you see the character in focus, without you, in a way, feeling there is anything happening. And this is the fantastic function and functionality of the human eye. It's incredible.
One of evolution's great achievements.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is what we kind of try to replicate with the poLight technology. So we have this polymer, which I talked about.
Yeah.
So what we were then lacking was the eye muscles, and how to make the eye muscles.
Yeah. So you've had to combine those two different concepts.
Exactly. So we need to innovate how to kind of develop the eye muscles And we ended up with a piezo MEMS device, which is basically a glass transparent film with different layers for many different reasons. One of the layers, super important, is the thin film piezo. Thin film piezo, you know, in physics, piezoelectric effect is when you put voltage on a piezo material, it starts to change the thickness.
Right.
If you squeeze a piezoelectric material, it generates charges. So we are using basically putting voltage on the piezo film, and then it starts to kind of change the thickness. When this piezo material is a part of this thin film glass membrane, then that membrane starts to bend.
Yes.
Hence,
yes.
Finally we have managed to create some eye muscles.
Yes.
When that polymer, which is then just underneath that glass membrane, is feeling that the membrane starts to bend, the polymer, the lens, starts to shape. Hence, the human eye.
Right.
This is an extremely compact solution. Our technology, it goes into small cameras. Not big cameras like you are using today, but small cameras. The world is going through wearables, glasses, watches, body cams, pens, AirPods.
Small compact spaces.
Exactly.
Small compact spaces.
Exactly.
Where power and size are absolutely key.
Which is the key of our technology. So we make kind of compact cameras without focusing mechanism.
Because there is no need for any mechanical.
Absolutely.
Inside because it's all being done with the relationship between the membrane and the piezo
correct
layer.
Correct. So basically,
which is all done using electricity, using power. So it's literally just that relationship between the power going into the system and changing.
Yeah. Exactly. And this is reminding me, because we should say because a conventional way of changing focus is not the human eye. Human eye is the human way of doing it. But the conventional way in technology to change focus, you have a range of, it's basically to move a lens stack back and forth. You know? Yeah. In the big cameras, that's what's happening.
Yeah. Like the old days with the cameras with the lenses going backwards and
so you're
forwards.
moving a lens stack back and forth to change focus. And you can imagine, you talked about power consumption, how much power that takes to move a mass, and also time.
Yeah.
You know, it's never going to be instant.
Yeah. And the fact that it's a MEMS solution, there's none of that worry about things getting broken or being vulnerable, and in these very small spaces, and in the kind of examples that you're using, or you're talking about, where your technology comes to a whole, is very small, compact, and things that are moving, constantly moving in environments where you know, it's not a safe environment, like in a factory where it stays static and it never moves. All of your applications in the cases that you're discussing are things where they are being moved and they still have to do their job, and they have to be very reliable and use very little power.
Over many years.
Over many years.
Exactly.
Very good, very good. Okay, I think you've given us an excellent introduction as to how you replicate the human eye, how you use that using your unique technology, and how that differentiates between a mechanical solution and your own solution, and why, if somebody's looking at the kind of applications like wearables, cameras in industrial arenas, or in phones where you need that reliability, that small space and that low power, you're an ideal solution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very good.
Cheers.